So what they did give us, they said, well, here you go. Here's what we've done for you. We've extracted all of the expenditures for WashDOT into this pretty Excel file, and here you can have it. And so it gave us information. It said the payee, the amount. It coded it by, for example, rent expense or architectural expense or IT costs, etc. And I thought, great, wow, we're getting somewhere here. Again, it's only for WashDOT. It's not total CRC expenditures. 108 million totaled. 108 million WashDOT has spent between 2006 and 2010. At least that's what they're telling us. I can't prove that with actual vouchers or invoices just yet. 15 million of that didn't have a vendor name. So of the 108 million, nearly 12-13%, I can't tell you who we paid, because that information was not in their system. As a forensic accountant, I find that questionable. Okay? Could it be a problem with the data dump? Absolutely. When we showed this information to Ms. Boyd, she said, gosh, that's a problem. I'll get right back on that, and I'll get that right back to you within a week or two. And that has since passed, and we've asked 2 more times for her to fill in the $15 million blanks, and or we've asked WashDOT. That has not been provided to us yet. 38 million of the 108 million doesn't have a code. So, you walk into Acuity Group, and I'm going to have some payroll expense, and I'm going to have rent expense, and I'm going to pay my utilities, and I'm going to pay for my professional business license or taxes. And so you're going to know of all the money I've spent, why I've spent it on. $38 million of the $108 million that WashDOT has spent, we do not know what it was for, because that is blank. We've asked them what that means, what the $38 million was spent on. Was it for rent? I think some of it was for rent because it's that same amount. But what was it spent on? We've not received a reply. 77 million of the 108 million has gone to a single vendor. 77 million has gone to David Evans and Associates. David Evans and Associates do architectural and engineering. And what bothers me is everything that I see where they've provided information, for example, to reporters, says that they've only spent 28 or 30 million to David Evans, but their source doc, the information they gave up to us that they indicated were source documents from the WashDOT accounting system for payments for the CRC project. $77 million, according to their system, has gone to David Evans and Associates. There was a report in the Willamette Weekly this week, and the gentleman, Nigel, I can't remember his last name, but he had a cost report that said, well, $38 million to David Evans and $5 million to HDR and some of these other vendors. And I said, well, wait a minute. I have $77 million just from WashDOT for the CRC, and you're saying it's only 30. So he sent me this cost report that was really beautiful. It was pretty, and it had, it just looked like a really nice accounting report. It doesn't reconcile to the information that I have. I don't know why, and I don't know why they didn't provide that to us. But it is something we've asked for. I have no idea what the sources are, and it only gives us the vendor. It says, $38 million to David Evans. It doesn't say why or when or how many checks were written, etc. So here are my observations as a forensic accountant. We have no financial reporting for the 130 or 150 or at least the $108 million we know as Washington taxpayers has gone out of our coffers. We have no real understanding of where that money came from, and 15 million of the 108, we don't know where the money went to. We have lack of data in an accounting system. As an accountant, as a forensic accountant, that's just it's a big red flag. And we have no central repository of documents. One of the things we've asked for is, can we come in? Can you please pull the David Evans contract for us? Can you please pull all the payments made to David Evans? And they said that that would be really difficult for them to do. At this point, they've not been able to produce that. That just is a red flag. And I don't understand why we don't have that at the CRC if we're managing the project here. Whoops. And again, the 77 million, that's where it was. So here's what I asked the legislators. They've not provided accountability. Why? And I started thinking about this on our way down to Salem. I always wonder why somebody does something, why they do things that they do. And I wonder sometimes about egos and about saving face. And sometimes my clients come to me and they've really invested in something bad, and I say, let's stop the bleeding. Let's just stop spending what we're spending our money on, and it's embarrassing, and it's not something we can feel good about, but at least let's say we've made a $150 million mistake and not a $3 billion or a $10 billion mistake. We've asked for a full forensic accounting. It would be nice. They have told us their internal auditors have looked at it and everything. I don't know if they're working on it or they said everything was fine. I don't know what the communication was about the internal audit. They said everything was fine. Okay, so the internal auditors have indicated that everything is fine. But I don't have an internal audit report, and I understand what internal auditors do. They need to go in and look at documents. They need to actually have a report. That's not happened. We just asked for a full forensic accounting. We want to know what the funding is. We want to know the expenditures. We want to know the relationships. We want to demand the bidding records are open. It is our understanding that David Evans and Associates was basically sole sourced this project. And the only contract that I have for them is a $50 million contract. So I've yet to understand why they've been paid $77 million. They have indicated to us that they cannot open up the bidding records because that creates information that would be intellectual property that should not be given to just ordinary folks like us. But I don't understand. It would be nice to understand that what the bidding process is. And then we just want to demand proper accounting records. I think these things are basic. I'm sorry, I don't have a lot of information for you, a lot of answers for you, as it's going to be our job here in the coming months to pull the data together to try to come up with some information. So that we can make better decisions. But given the high red flags that we have already, it doesn't make sense to me that nobody is just at least calling a timeout here. So we can, if we can't manage our 108 million or 150 million, how are we going to manage, a bigger project? And who's going to be getting all of these contracts for this work? This is what I told the legislators. You guys have the power. You also have the responsibility. And we all want accountability, stewardship, and transparency and ethical leadership. I want to tell you there was a room of Democrats and Republicans, and it was the first time in a long time I felt energized by our governmental process. They were so open-eared. They put in a budget note related to the oversight they wanted ODOT to have over the CRC. They did that within hours of our meeting. It was just really exciting. They really want some answers. I did talk to one long-term legislator, and I said, what about this $150 million? We've spent it on a bridge that won't work. And according to the engineers that I've interviewed and the people one guy is a bridge guy who's actually designed or helped work on bridge projects, and he told me, Tiffany, they would have had to have known really early on that this would not work. And I said, well, why continue to spend the money? Well, because we have a contract. And when I told this legislator this, she said, well, that happens a lot. Things happen, and, $150 million, it's gone, and we need to move forward with this project. I don't know why. But my contact information is here. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask me, and I appreciate your time.